Hello again, Steve here, hanging out on the shore near where I grew up, and some fishing boats in the background there. And I just thought it would be a good idea to share a few thoughts that I crossed my mind. Not so much to do with this, but to do with a lot of the things that I usually talk about, which is the importance of self-knowledge and this sort of thing. The foundational help that we can be for ourselves, I would say. Now, the two things I wanted to talk about are to do with the importance of not only being sane, but appearing sane. And the second one I want to talk about is finding our ideals so that we're not chasing all kinds of things endlessly as a substitute for those. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about the first one is I was talking to somebody recently who's probably in many ways one of the sanest people I know, and that person lives in a world of what appears to be insanity. And this is what happens sometimes when we strive and step out on the course of self-knowledge. People think we're crazy, and the rest of the world looks crazy. And to the point, I would say that, the world is full of examples of those who go far enough and get committed to death and all kinds of challenges, right? Like, look at Socrates. He was probably one of the sanest people, and yet he's the one who's convicted to drink the hemlock. And yeah, it's important because we can get ourselves in a world of trouble, drinking hemlock, for example, and we can get ourselves committed to regimes of injection of psychotropic drugs now under supervision by people who will commit us to insane asylums if we appear to be insane to them. So that's what I mean by it's important to be sane, to make decisions, but be able to see where people are and not appear to be insane to them. So, that's not a very common thing for most people, but nevertheless, it depends how far we take it. I've said it before many times, and I see it happening now. If we live according to our conscience, we will end up in jail. If we live according to our conscience 100%, we will end up in jail and the psych wards and all kinds of things of this world. So we must know how to navigate that. Learn to navigate that and make the necessary compromises on the outside. Don't have to make the compromises inside, but the compromises on the outside if we wish to walk freely and be effective in this world, I think, at times. The second one has to do with, I forget right now, let me look. Finding our ideal and the importance of finding our ideal. It's like what it is that we're working for. What are we doing? What are we striving for? When I say ideal, I don't necessarily mean an individual item, like a goal. The goals will fit inside the ideal. But there are people who serve something greater than themselves. And that is never really achieved. It's always to be worked. It's the betterment of the world, for example, as an ideal, right? Because then we can put ourselves in there and we're not having to placate our outrageous emotional gyrations with cigarettes and distractions and traveling all over the place and all kinds of illicit sex and all kinds of stuff just to keep ourselves satiated, right? Because when we have the ideal, we know we have a purpose. What we're doing is purposeful, and that gives meaning to us, right? And we connect with our reasoning in the pursuit of that. We connect with our virtues in the pursuit of that. And through the process of achieving individual goals in the pursuit of the ideal, we experience happiness. So when I talk about quality of life, improving the quality of our life experience, I'm not necessarily talking about momentary titillation, though that can be part of the process. When we eat food, we can enjoy the food, but it doesn't mean we're eating it as an end for that. It's everything that we're doing, or most of what we're doing, is serving our ideal and to get in touch with that. And that's why I think it's so important for us to have a big picture vision statement and then a mission statement which fits in within that. What are we doing? Where are we going? What are these goals? Do these goals connect? Do they serve the purpose? Right? And like I said before, in that continuum of advancement chart that I have, it's first of all recognizing where our pains are, what's challenging us. And in that process, we get to see what's wanted. And we connect that eventually with our ideal. What's important to us in life, right? And we create a vision statement We visualize what it is. And this is an ongoing process. It's not just a one-time thing, because life is what it is. Life always throws us curveballs. It's always giving us challenges. And those are all wake-up calls to help us to point towards what it is that we want. They're all telling us, wake the fuck up. You know, look this way. This is what you want. So be grateful. We can be grateful for the shit that we have in our lives. We can be grateful for the problems we have in our lives and the challenges we have in our lives, because they're helping us to wake up to what it is that's really important to us. And usually that's connected to the ideal. So when we have that big ideal there, and then we can visualize it, and we can learn to believe that we can make strides towards it. We're no longer just dreamers, right? We take action. We take action with certainty. We take action with purpose, because we know why we're doing it, and we can get confirmation that the actions are working and adjust our actions accordingly. And that's what I mean by certainty. We therefore have sort of like practical faith, in other words, that we can actually do, we can actually make a difference. And when we see those differences get made, there's that satisfaction, and we rise in that satisfaction quotient, in that quality of life quotient, which is a happiness sort of thing. We become very satisfied, very fulfilled in life. So yeah, I would say, and all those things are not necessarily obviously related, but it is important too, because when we strive for, if we break out of the mold of where we were, people are going to see us as crazy. And we don't want to be too crazy. We don't want to be outwardly too crazy, because I've seen somebody recently who got committed, man, and the system is unbelievable. I mean, it is. People are well intended, but intentions can lead certainly to a practical hell, and that can happen. And then it's also important, I think, for us to solidify as best we can on an ongoing basis, what are we working for? What are we doing here? What's the big picture? What's bigger than me in this? What's bigger than my momentary titillation? And then serving that with our goals and so on. And the satisfaction that comes from that is wonderful. So yeah, Steve here again. Great chatting. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share. And once again, just wanted to show to you the wonderful sight of this little harbor of fishing boats here. It looks great. It's a wonderful day. Nice and warm, about 30 degrees Celsius, whatever that is on the Fahrenheit scale. And if you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.